Good morning, what's up? It's Kevin Kenny. This is the Build Series live in New York City. And our guest today is, I'm going to say, a music pioneer, one of the most influential voices over the past 20 years. We'll get all into that. He's back with a new project entitled Now Is Then Is Now, which is hard to say. 3 reimagined bodies of work from his catalog. Please welcome Chris Carrabba of Dashboard Confessional. Thanks for coming by, Chris.
It's good. You know, I got to say, it's good to be here. It's weird. That guy looks just like me in that video.
You were saying you hadn't seen that in a minute. We were playing, if you're watching at home, we played the Hard to Hear video.
I mean, usually I watch my own videos every day, but.
Is that breakfast or Chris Carrabba?
Yeah, usually breakfast, late breakfast.
Well,
brunch kind of thing.
Yeah, wait a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's your mimosa. I want to talk about this. I mean, what are you calling this? Like an over? Because it's called Now Is Then Is Now, but it's really 3 albums within that. So do you want to call it a project?
Yes.
Okay. So this project is really cool because we're kind of getting to know these albums in a new way.
Me too.
But then I heard you say something the other day, and I'm a big fan of yours, that made me look at you in an entirely new way that I'd never heard you said, that you're inspired equally by The Cure and the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
How is Wu-Tang inspired?
Is that weird?
No, I think it's interesting. I think it's exciting. I would never have guessed that.
Well, I mean, I like the Wu-Tang Clan. So, I mean, I like hip-hop a lot. I grew up listening to a lot of hip-hop from the Northeast, so that's sort of the part of the culture up here. And I think you can hear it in my early records in the kind of rapid-fire lyricism that I was still really kind of obsessed with that. I wasn't foolish enough to think that I could rap well, but right. I think it had seeped into the way I write anyhow. And then The Cure was and is a massive influence in the way I sing, in what I sing about, and how deeply I need to feel something before I sing about something. I can't just make up something that sounds like it's important. It has to be important.
Yeah. You grew up here in the Northeast, and then you, of course, moved down to Boca, and then now you're in Nashville. And I think this is like so cool what you got going on in Nashville now. It's almost like a recreation of like an old school scene, right? Because there's so many bands and there's so many live shows down there.
Yeah.
How has that affected your creativity?
Oh, it's increased it a lot, and it's like a lot of my old friends that I grew up with down in South Florida when I moved down there. The kids from like Pompano Beach and Lauderdale, Miami, and Coral Springs area. Newfound Glory, Further Seems Forever, which was my band before Dashboard. And then there's like Anthony from Bayside is down there. There's guys from Yellow Card down there. And then there's of course, there's the country scene, and then there's a hip-hop scene that's really incredible. And there's this burgeoning underground house show scene that is really very strongly active and really counterculture to like the tried and true stoic rigidity, I think, that used to permeate that whole area, but well before I lived there. That's kind of been, I think that things have loosened up. They certainly loosened up well before I got there, and I kind of am reaping the benefits of being allowed in town. Right. Because I could never play like those guys that used to be allowed to live there.
You just mentioned Further Seems Forever, and as the story goes, right, Dashboard was really born out of a need for counterbalance in your life as an artist from the heavier stuff you were doing, or just different stuff you were doing.
Yeah. It was heavy in its own way. Both of them were heavy in their own way, but Further was, it was very driving. It was very. There's like no regard for time signatures or key signatures and song keys, and there was it was very angular. The whole thing was steeped in a little bit of aggression, even though I think that there's a sweeping nature to those songs, and it feels like positivity. The songs are like difficult songs, and in contrast to that, I think the presentation of the early Dashboard stuff was just about finding the heart of the song and not getting in the way of that at all. And with Further, it was like, let's get in the way of everything. Everybody get in each other's way all at once.
Right. What's your counterbalance to Dashboard these days?
Further Seems Forever. No, I don't know. I'm in a lot of bands. I have a band called Twin Forks. I'll be in any band that anybody asks me to. So I have a difficult time saying no. So And we do play in Further. I was only half kidding about that. I'm trying to get them to, Further had several singers, at least one that I know of. They had me, Jason, and John. John passed away, unfortunately. He was a singer of Sensefield, a band that we'd grown up listening to and loving so much, even though he was only a couple of years younger. Older. He seemed vastly more experienced, and he was. We'd met him when we were really green, and he was so seasoned, and he ended up being the third singer. But Jason, the singer after me, the singer on How to Start a Fire, we bonded about, post being in the bands. We were in the bands at different times, but we both loved them so much. I'd love to do some shows where it's both of us playing in Further Seems Forever, because that's just, I love that version of Further also.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Further is one of my side projects. I have a couple other ones that I'm working on now that I can't name because we haven't named them yet, but I'm excited about them.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about songwriting because obviously we go on all day about these songs that you've written for us. You've said that in the past that the best songs are the quickest ones that come out, right? What's the quickest song you've ever written that made it out?
That's a really good question, and I think I know Vindicated happened in about 15 minutes, and so did Hands Down. Although it's a little difficult to tell how much time has really passed when you're in that moment. You're so laser focused. But by contrast, there's songs that take days or maybe weeks, or sometimes you work on it for days and put it away for like months, and then take it out again and try again. And like I've said it before, but by rights, wouldn't you think that those are the songs that ought to be better? Because you've really, really put the work in.
Right.
It's these little gifts that are the ones that are better, and they just fall into your lap out of nowhere, seemingly. And that was the case with Hands Down. That was the case with Vindicated. But that was the case with the whole So Impossible EP, which came out in one session of writing. One really beautiful afternoon when I was home from tour. I was staying with my mother for a visit, and the songs just kind of poured out, and I didn't even, they came out so fast that I couldn't, I didn't stop to think whether they were any good or not, But the next day I went and played the tape back, and I was like, wait, this I did something special yesterday.
Yeah.
In the moment, you don't know sometimes. You played Heartbeat Here. That one, Martin sends me, I play Martin guitars for acoustic guitars, and on occasion they'll send me a guitar to try out, let them know what I think of it or something, internal notes. And I opened that guitar from the case, and I picked it up and played Heartbeat Here straight through. And I said, the only note I had to give them on the guitar was send me more preloaded guitars with songs in them. This is making things easy for me. Yeah. So if you buy a Martin guitar, you get many songs. You just have to find them. They're hidden in there.
You mentioned two songs, or really a project in the song I want to ask you about. The first is Vindicated, because as the story goes, that wasn't the original song you gave that movie.
No,
But
wasn't.
last time we spoke, which was about 2 years ago now, you said that was a song that is, the original song you gave to Spider-Man was an absolute real song, and you still want to put it out, but you've never found the correct puzzle for that puzzle piece.
Yeah.
Have you put it out since?
No.
Okay.
It's a pretty good song.
Can you give us just anything from that song? Can you give us a lyric from that song? Can you give us a hook from that song?
No.
What is the song about?
Spider-Man.
No, well, it couldn't have been. You gave it. Yeah.
Son of a bitch. He's on to me. What is it about? Well, it's about needing an anchor, stability, something to keep you tethered and grounded when life gets really complicated, which was happening for me at that time. I'd gone from, just being having these dreams of playing to anybody at all, to having the opportunity to play constantly and to play in front of a lot of people. And there were some growing pains there. I felt like I was getting away from me a little bit, and I wrote about that in that song. I think the there's a tenuous thread. If there is a thread there to Vindicated, the song Vindicated. So in that regard, I think they are related. I mean, I guess maybe I could put it out like a B-side, an A-side. Maybe that's the right. Maybe you've helped me find a way to put it out.
Yeah.
Just as I sit
That's
here
what
today.
I'm here for, Chris.
Okay, so for Record Store Day, I won't have it done
2020.
by then.
Yeah.
So another day. Someday, one day, the song will see the possibly be out. That's a guarantee.
Yeah, I like that. Firm. Very
Yeah.
firm. The So Impossible EP is one of my favorite bodies of work of yours. And again, the last time we spoke, you called it an incomplete story, right?
Yeah.
When's the last time you thought about completing that story?
I think there are bits of that story peppered throughout my catalog. So, like Heartbeat Here, I think is a piece of that story. I think I've begun writing my next record, and one of the songs feels a lot like it might pick up where, like Heartbeat Here doesn't pick up inside that storyline. It's like much later on. But I wrote a song that seems to feel like it's still about right where that was in my life. And if that one has legs, it might turn it. I contemplated just seeing if there's like a sequel to that EP. There might be one. They seem excited for it back there.
They cannot wait. Is there anything whether it's you talk about writing a song that put you back in that moment that you wrote the, hands down the So Impossible EP. Is there anything even going back to these albums and these bodies of work, is there anything you have to do that's special or like nostalgic to put yourself back in that mindset? Or are you able to tap into it as an artist easily?
Well, I think the tricky part about being an artist, like the tricky part about how it affects your life, is that we are those of us that do this. I think we're more emotionally open than we might be otherwise if we didn't do this. And I say that, I guess what I'm dancing around here is that, like, I'll willingly and kind of knowingly skip out on things I'm supposed to be doing, people I'm supposed to be meeting, responsibilities I might have, if I'm drawn into even just listening to somebody else's song. So when it comes to my own music and having to revisit it, even nightly, let alone re-record it, but just to play it, I'm not like doing a rendition of the original version. It's like a new song to me every night in some fashion, and some of that is what change, how, like, knowing how that song is the impetus for writing that song, that life experience, knowing how that affects me right now, sitting here right now. I could tell you about any one of these songs and what it meant to me then, what it means to me today, and then we could have the conversation tomorrow, and might be something else,
right?
But the same songs. But then there's also these, I have this incredible audience that will sing so beautifully and with so much heart, and there's like an overriding, powerful emotion that comes from them, and that really steers the vessel. So in the live setting, you can just land right in it, because all you have to do is kind of be like, you have to just allow it to happen. And like, my only job up there is to look like I'm in charge, but I'm not in charge at all. I'm having as much fun as anybody else. When it came to like reinterpreting my own records, though, I had to really dig. I had to like really dig into those songs and feel like either wonderful or more often really terrible about things, about whatever that thing in that song was.
That's got to be such a challenge, though.
Yeah, it was a drag. It's a total. I don't recommend you do this ever. It's a total drag. Like, the first time was total catharsis. When I wrote the song, recorded the song, it was absolute catharsis. And then and I suppose there was, yeah, I suppose it was therapeutic on some level to revisit the songs. I know I needed to. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't need to here, right here.
Why'd you need to? At this point in time.
Because I lost the plot. I lost the plot a little bit. I lost the plot. I was. I love the way those records came out. The version that is the, what would you call them? The actual version, not the reimagined version. The studio version.
Major label. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I love those versions, and I loved them at the time. But you know, when my first 2 records are largely just myself and an acoustic guitar, and I found places to hide within the band structure. And that's not to say that when I wrote the songs, I wasn't being open. I did. But I did allow myself to hide in and amongst the drums and the bass and all that stuff. And I really needed to know, like, what would have, like, if the places you had have come to fear the most had never gotten popular, I would have kept, and Swiss Army, I would have kept making records. And I'd still, you know, have really limited resources to do that. And I'd still but I'd still be doing it. I'd just still be doing it just with, like, one friend's microphone in a guest bedroom closet, which is where I made those records. And not my guest bedroom. I lived in somebody else's guest bedroom at that time, as a matter of fact. So, specifically with Mark and Mission, that could have very easily been another acoustic record.
Yeah.
And I think I wrote it that way. Because even when we started having success, I was, this can't last. Who are we trying to kid here, you know? So I arranged them all to thinking, like, oh, I'll never be able to afford to pay a band. I'll never be able to be able to pay to record a band. Are you kidding? And then, you know, a little later on with Dusk and Summer, it was like more evident that, like, okay, so we can do this, and we can do this right. We can I know I'm going in with a band this time. And so I could write the music. I could spend more time around the music than I did around just the melody and the lyric. But something got lost in there, I think. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And further lost a little more by the next record. And I really wanted an opportunity to grow and learn as a musician. And I was suddenly around people that were, like, you know, veterans in this business, in this industry, that made incredible records and had the kind of, so I had mentors all of a sudden. But then I also had people that were just kind of around. And everybody had an idea. But I had said, all right, I'm going to listen to some ideas, but I was listening to everybody's ideas. Which they were.
They love ideas.
Yeah. Ideas are so badass. You guys should look and see who's out there. It's worth it. It's totally worth it.
All right, well, with the madness outside, really quickly, Chris, I wanted to, really the theme of this whole project is returning to your roots and kind of celebrating your discography. Mm-hmm. This is a very popular K-pop band.
I know.
Gotcha.
I am a human being alive. I know who they are.
Wow, no wave back. What was that about?
Because you wave first. You don't wave back when you wave first.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, likely story. He waved.
Did I cut you off?
He totally waved. No, they cut us off.
No.
They're allowed to.
I wanted to.
Don't you know who they are? Who are they?
I wanted to run through some big moments of your career just really quickly and ask you a quick question about each, because really that's really the heart of this whole project, which I think is pretty cool. Let's go back. This is actually a neat little video of you performing and really a full circle moment, if the video exists. No, that's not the video. That's the video. This is you in 2000 in Nashville. You live in Nashville now. Mm. Just looking at this guy, what's the biggest thing you two have in common?
I still have that shirt.
Do you really?
Yeah. I think I have a lot in common with that dude.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel. I mean, you grow, you better grow. But if you're foolish enough to go into my line of work and you don't hold on to the things that were so rapturous in your youth, what's the point? You know, who wants to hear an uninspired song? So I haven't let myself get jaded, and I don't really know how. I don't have advice on that, like how to tell you not to do that or anyone not to do that, but it's still all mysterious and kind of glorious to me, and the shirt still fits.
Wow, look at that. Let's get to this next one, because this is another really, I would imagine, a major moment in your life when this next thing happens. There's a picture. There it is, sorry. Just what's going through your head at this point in time when you're on the cover of Spin magazine? This is early 2003. Your career is
What's
just
going through my head in this
skyrocketing.
picture? This looks sexy to you? This is that's what I'm thinking right there. When I was asked to be on the cover, or told I was going to be on the cover of Spin, I got to admit, there was a time when I think Spin was probably the most important magazine to me. It predated alternative press. It was more counterculture leaning than Rolling Stone had become at that point. And it was the magazine I read that I would go to find out about, to discover bands that I'd fall in love with, like Pavement or Archers of Loaf, or I remember, the cover. I saw the cover of Fiona Apple's cover, the cover of Spin with Fiona Apple on there. Before she was, a household name, before anybody really knew, she was just on college radio, which we didn't get in my town. So, but I got that magazine, and I went out and fell in love with her music, like really deeply in love with her music because of that article. So I still kind of can't believe they put me on. I don't know where that shirt came from. But that's it's really on the nose,
One of those, like Wings down there?
Yes.
Yeah, you probably get that at Wings.
Yeah, Wings, for those that don't know, is a really cool place to shop.
Oh, let's go to
tourist.
This final clip really quick.
When you started, is it true that you gave everything to Goodwill and just took off?
Well, that makes it sound like I was some charity buff, but I just didn't have anywhere to put it. So
You just gave it all away? Is there anything that you gave away that you wish you could have back now?
yeah, I worked at this elementary school called J.C. Mitchell Elementary School, and I had
were
a
a teacher,
great
right?
T-shirt from the school, and I gave it away, and now I don't have one.
All right, so Chris, I don't know if you ever got one, but I thought this would be pretty cool.
What's this? No
Check
way.
that out.
Are you kidding?
That clip's like 20 years old, so maybe somebody
Look at this.
got it for him. But in case no one ever did,
That's lovely. Oh, thank you.
cheers.
That's great. Thank you.
All right, let's get to these fan questions. We got one in the front row right here. What's your name?
Victoria. My question is, when writing songs, do you typically start with lyrics or a melody?
Well, typically, I think I have a melody, and I start with a guitar, and I'll start to play chords, and sometimes they just sound like the same old chords, and sometimes they sound kind of dreamy, and I hear a melody floating through them, and then I just start to sing. So there are times when I'll just find myself writing lyrics, simply writing lyrics with no purpose yet, but most times it's just it's a kind of a moment where I'm drawn in. I'm just drawn in, and the whole thing has a place here that is reminiscent of a story of my existence in my past, and I kind of try to get it out as fast as I can before it gets away from me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a great question. We have time for one more. It'll come from over here. What's your name, man?
Hey, good morning. My name is Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
So earlier you mentioned Further Seems Forever, and that was the band that made me want to be in a band, right? And then Dashboard came out, and that made me want to be a songwriter. It was like a big aha moment, right? And at that time, you were doing a lot of open tuning, stuff like that, stuff that other bands weren't doing. That's even influential now, and bands like Tiny Moving Parts are doing that stuff. So what influenced you to do stuff like that? Because that wasn't common.
Yeah, well, Further Seems Forever was the band that made me want to be in a band, too, and Dashboard was the band that made me want to be a songwriter. So we have that in common. But the open tunings came from the fact that I didn't own a guitar that would stay in tune, in standard tuning. So I'd get really frustrated. And then so I would find some way. It didn't matter. I just play with the tuning pegs, tuning machines until it resonated in such a way that I would stay in tune. But then I discovered there was all this mystery, because you no longer know how to play guitar, because the notes aren't where they're supposed to be anywhere. And it's all about mystery. You got to infuse the whole thing with mystery. You know, like sometimes I don't know how to play piano, but sometimes I'll write at a piano because I don't know how to play the darn thing. You know, I am really impressed with the people that are craftsmen and women. You know, they can do this. They can do this at any time. They can write a song at any time, and they can write these big hits, and they can write or songs that will, like, you just sit down and be like, I'm going to write a song about this thing. I can't do that. I have to. It all has to, like, the stars all have to align. Like, I have to have a guitar that doesn't work in that right tuning, and then if I had a good guitar, maybe Dashboard never would have existed ever. So you find a way to do what you're supposed to do somehow. Thanks, Matthew.
Great question. We're unfortunately out of time, Chris.
Well, I've enjoyed it.
Chris is not bummed at all. He's like, let's get out of here.
It's a nice day out.
Again, it is a beautiful
There's
day.
a K-pop band I got to go track down.
Now is Then is Now is out right now, available everywhere. Are there any plans for a tour this year? Anything extended? I know you just did Firefly, you did the radio show.
I'm going to the UK and Europe, and I'm going to spend some time writing, and then I'll start thinking about what's.
And you're doing
what's
Riot
next.
Fest. Did I make that up?
We are doing right. No,
Cool.
You didn't make it up. They did.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, right on. Chris Carrabba, everybody.
Thank you.